bit about sort of what we're doing really quickly. We try to make this a very special place where we know who you are and we have a relationship with you through your whole fertility journey. As a result, we have what we call our family reunion every year. We have all the people who've had babies, they come back. And unlike some places where you're kind of finished and done, we probably had close to 600 people this year came to it and celebrated. And some of those kids are in college now, and they come back with their parents, and some of them are women who are just newly pregnant. And what everyone said to us is they feel a connection, not just to us, but to each other. And we started saying to everyone is, there's such amazing talent in this room and expertise. What more could we do? Instead of like, it's great that we have this party every year, but what could we do to really help people even more? So we had a series of focus groups. We talked to, over 100 of our success stories, and we said, what would you like to do when you're done? And sort of unanimously, what they all said is, I just want to give back to the me 10 years ago, someone who's starting and someone who's going through the process. I want to help them and support them because I know so much now that I wish I knew then. And when I started, I didn't even know the questions to ask. I was too scared to ask them, and now I know all this stuff. And so we brainstormed, and together we came up with this idea of our Miracle Family Network, where we would take the people before that don't even know for sure what they're going to do, people in the middle who are going through treatment, and then the after, the people who've had success, and everyone come together to really help each other. And so what we've been doing is we now have these meetups each month where we pick a topic and we say, we're going to do the medicine part, but there's so much that you can learn. And on the internet, there's endless information, but the problem is, like, so much of it is garbage and you can't sort it out. And then if you ask for help, you got some stranger that you don't even know who they are and you don't know what to ask. So it's great to get the information there, but people tend to feel more lost and more cut off than they used to. So you can bring that to this setting and have people that really know what they're doing and that you can trust, and we can really sift through that information and find things that you can do on your own that will help you be more successful and more happier through the journey. That's really the impetus behind us doing this whole process. And so it's been hugely successful. We're so excited at how many people have told us it helps them. And what you have in the room is you'll see some people with a line under their name, and those are our alumni, people who have been through the process, who are here to help and share wisdom. Other people are in the middle. We have some people that are pregnant. We had about 5 people get happy phone calls today, so some of them are off celebrating that we're going to come. And so they're at every stage. Last month we had a patient that we were treating from Africa who was here with her husband sharing their insight and sort of their really special journey. And so you all have something really special to share. And what the parents told us who had been through it is that having gone through this journey, they were better parents because they had struggled to get where they were and they overcame something. And as a result, when they faced challenges later in life, they were stronger and better as parents than had they not gone through this. So the idea is that this is kind of a hard road to get through, but you will get through it. And when you're successful at the end, we want to help ensure that you come out better in all ways than when you started. So let me tell you about sort of our expert panel. The real idea here is that we don't think of it as a support group. Support group kind of implies that you're broken and you're like need to cry on someone's shoulder. And what we think of this more as the concept of a mastermind. So they have that in business, they have it in marketing, they have it in sort of every industry where you find the experts, you share the wisdom, and then together you figure out the process. So this is our fertility mastermind, and all of you are really like going to be superheroes of fertility. So whether if you've gone through it, you already are, and if you're in the middle, you're going to be that person shortly. And so our panel tonight is really kind of amazing people. This is KK Seeley, who is one of our success stories, who now works here and organizes all of our patient relations and outreach. So you've probably spoken to her, a lot of you, and she helped us brainstorm and organize this event, and she'll share sort of her journey. And she had been in the corporate world and is a mom now and had her own journey. and Debbie Sweeney, another miracle mom of ours. Debbie is another success story who's been through us, who was in the corporate world and then made a transition and now is doing health and nutrition coaching and has a really big family now. How many?
8.
And was through the process remarkable, but also had to go through her own journey through it. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is how to maximize your health overall so you can maximize your fertility. We're going to talk about health and nutrition, but also about mindset and how you think of a health problem and get through it and not succumb to it. And so we're going to spend a little time now, maybe 10 minutes, and have our experts here tell you their story. Debbie, why don't you tell us sort of your story of how you got here, your health struggles that you went through fertility, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. How did I actually get to this building? Well, I'm old enough that I remember the other building. I had 6 children, and I was in my mid to late 40s, and I wanted more. And I actually was embarrassed to tell my OBGYN that I wanted more. In this day and age, who wants more? I wanted more. So, I don't know if you remember this. The angels were looking over me when I opened up the yellow pages one day, and I found the world's best fertility doctor. That's how I started with you. And not just the world's best fertility doctor, but the whole doctor and the staff and everyone here that makes you so comfortable, which is part of each of your success stories, or will be. So knowing that Dr. Poulter was such a smart guy, and he would tell me, you're not helping yourself when you're jogging or exercising 2 hours a day. You're causing inflammation, and this is just not helping. But for me, that was my signature. This is how I thought I released my stress, and I would go out and exercise probably more when we had some setbacks, and it just felt like forever until the next time we would try again. So my answer was, I'm going to go out and run for 2 hours and come back and then get the munchies at 8 o'clock and have a bag of chips and then feel horrible and start the whole thing the next day. So I decided that there has to be something to what he was saying. I already had a master's in health science, so I had a little bit of idea. So I decided, I believe it. I'm finally gonna listen. It took me a while. But I wanna know why. I can't just follow, I need to know why. So I went back to school, specifically with this mission of what does exercise and the food you eat and the way you eat have to do with fertility, or does it have to do with fertility? And what I found out was it absolutely has to do with fertility, and not just fertility, it has to do with your whole life. So you have your fertility and you have your baby, and you need to be healthy and full of energy and ready to raise this child or children. And nutrition is such a big part of it. After I took, I just kept going down the rabbit hole and doing more and more and more. And I realized that this information is not rocket science. This is stuff that everyone should know. Everyone should know just to be healthy in general. Yes, you need it for fertility, but you need it for your whole life. And it's not that hard. It's not something that's unattainable. If you can understand it, even in a very simple way, it's easy to follow. And I wanted to give that information back. Especially since I had been sitting in this office and knowing how everyone feels.
That's incredible. And so health and fitness can take both sides. I mean, there's some people who exercise and run marathons every day and take that to the extreme, and then there's people who never get up out of the chair and gain 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 pounds. And so there's metabolic effects of all extremes. And a lot of health physicians, all they learn about nutrition is like a couple hours in medical school 20 years ago, and it's completely outdated. And so Debbie's going to talk a little bit later about sort of this nutrition, the new nutritional ideas. If you take all the diets that are successful, there's things that are not even a diet, just the way you eat in your life. There are shared things that are sort of universal principles, and that's what we'll share with you later. Now, KK, you've got another story where you have an incredible mindset. You struggled and you overcame your health, the health fertility issues, but you were never negative. You had this amazing mindset and you were sort of laser focused on your goal, and it's really incredible. And not everybody has that. And so tell us a bit about, your story and how you made it happen with your mindset, because that's the other half of this. One is what you eat, and two is sort of how you get through your health issue.
So one correction, I never looked negative. I certainly was scared out of my pants. Just to give you a little background, I was a little late to the party. I didn't start trying to get pregnant until my mid to late 30s. And I had just moved to Long Island, and my OBGYN was like, you don't need any testing. I'm like, well, I've been trying for a while. I'm pushing it. No, you don't need any testing. Fine. And it wasn't until I had a minor medical emergency with my ovaries that I was sent to the ER. I'm like, something is up. And I went to a different doctor, and they're like, you should get tested. And so I did. So it turns out that my fallopian tubes were totally closed. So I had 0 shot. So I wasted 2 years. And so I was very angry at my lack of taking initiative and just blind trust and being like, okay, whatever you say. And thank God that OBG sent me here. They gave us 2 choices, and I actually came here because my husband and I liked the high-tech aspect of everything that we saw, that he was teaching around the world, that it was cutting edge, that it was all of those things that appealed to us. And like any good HR person walking in, I was like, okay, there's pictures of twins on the wall. Let's start a file folder. So color-coded file folder. So my 3 attempts to get control of the uncontrollable in terms of how my mind operates is, okay, color-coded file folder, name the project. We called it, this whole thing, Bump City. The more I came back, the more I fell in love with the staff. But then as I was going through the process, the more I realized I only wanted to do this once. I think, yeah, let's just do this one time. And by the way, let's do a twofer, because I see those twins now. I think I see value in having to go through this process once. Then I was really excited about having twins because we had a really great Star Wars birth announcement in our head planning for twins. So some of you have seen it. And I had also realized that I was, being career girl, I was talking a mile a minute, as I usually do. I really needed to decompress and force myself to slow down. So while I was going through this process, the only thing I could control was myself and my point of view about it. So I got massages all the time and acupuncture, and I hate yoga. I was doing yoga. I hate meditation. Sit still. No. I was doing meditation. I did everything I could to literally tell myself to just shut up and calm down, because I really, really was committed to doing this once. I did not have great chances, but I had a chance. And so creating the spreadsheets of all the medicine, and that helped me keep control over what my part was. It may have been a feeble attempt, but that's how it worked. And the other thing I did was build a team. I know that when you go through this process, there's many different points of views about how you can do that. I obviously like to talk about it. Other people obviously do not. Some people share, some people don't. For me, what worked was to build a team around me. And I had to give up that I was an inconvenience on people of asking for help. So I was like, you're on my wellness committee. You need to tell me, you need to remind me to eat healthy. You're on my chill out committee. If you see me going a mile a minute and doing what I'm not supposed to be doing, call me up and say, hey, KK, what are you doing to calm yourself down? And then I had just people around me, and I have, my husband is an amazing support. So people showed up out of the woodwork that I didn't expect when I let them. And one person said, do you really want those twins? And then we were hearing the odds were not going to be good. I only had 3 embryos. It's not going to happen. And somebody said, no, you've been talking about twins for about 2 months, so why don't you just hang up a picture of the Wonder Twins? Remember Zan and Jaina? So I hung up a picture of the Wonder Twins. I'm like, this is going to happen. And as it turns out, we found out on the first round that we were very lucky that we did get a positive pregnancy test. But when we came in, there's only 1 heartbeat. And we're like, oh. And he's like, did you guys think you were having twins? What does the matter with you? We're like, yes. but we're happy. And then we're leaving, and my husband said, is there any chance you would find another heartbeat next week? I'm like, what a stupid question. And he's like, slim to none. Next week, we're coming back for our blood test. I'm like, they're going to find another one. And they did. His famous words are, oh, he has a friend who's with the sonogram. So I'm not saying certainly not saying I manifested that, but there's two parts to this. There's the science part, which is all over here. And there's like the mindset part that you do have control over, that you kind of have to sometimes wrangle your instincts to the ground so you can just be calm and let it happen. So those are the things I did that worked for us.
It's an amazing story. So let's share some of the nutrition stuff now. And Debbie, why don't you tell us about the nutritional consulting that you're doing and how diet and what you eat, what you put in your mouth affects your overall health?
Well, it's a cliche, but you are what you eat. It's a little more than what was talked about, say, in the 50s or 60s. But what you eat does turn into your cells and your hormones and the way your body works. So I have a program that teaches people in a way that's very easy to understand, so that you don't need to be a doctor. It doesn't go into it in depth, but it shows you the importance of clean food. So clean food would mean when you go to the supermarket, there's not an ingredient list on it. The importance of digestion, so that you're actually getting that. The importance of fats. Fats is what makes up your hormones. So I run a 5-week program to teach you about that, because I or anybody could tell you, you need to do this and you need to do that. This is what you should eat, and that's it. But if you don't understand why, it's going to be really hard to follow. So by giving you knowledge, when you go to the grocery store, or like myself, when it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night and you want to have a bag of something processed that's absolutely horrible, you can think back and say, okay, now I know what this is going to do inside my body. I know what this is going to do to my energy, to my fertility, and you can make a better decision.
So what are some of the principles, like the top 3 tips you'd give someone who's trying to work on their health, which could be trying to get pregnant.
Okay.
You are pregnant and you want to have it be a lower risk, healthy pregnancy, or you've had your baby and you're a new mom. What are the 3 things you talk? I know when we've talked to you, talked about sugar. So what's your take on sugar?
I would say, rather than going to specific foods, although sugar is a big one, you think about 3 things. Number 1, what are you putting in? Is it clean? Is it fresh? Is it alive? Does it have nutrients? So what's going to be out of that right off the bat? Sugar, processed foods, trans fat foods. So think about, what are you putting in? What is this doing for my body? Number 2, and sorry about the visual here, what's coming out? Is my digestion good? Am I actually getting the benefits of this food? And am I having a bowel movement every day, or am I letting my body get toxins out? And number 3, what am I creating inside myself? Meaning, when I eat, am I in a frenzied mood? Am I stressed out? Do I get enough sleep? Do I exercise in a correct amount that's healthy? So what's in, what's out, and what you create.
Great. So we'll talk a little bit at the end about sort of the medical side of nutrition and fertility and what we know about that part. And then, so for now, KK, you talk to a lot of our patients who are starting out. You've spoken to the people who are walking through the door at the first time, and you also speak to a lot of the miracle moms at the reunion each year and the people who are trying to help each other. So what have you learned from the afters to share with the before about mindset? Is it part of success, how you think, like, because we're doing shots and we're doing pills and we're doing tests, and that's this very clear scientific medical part, but how does your mindset affect success?
I think the first thing to get is that you actually have a mindset, you actually have a point of view about this process, about this office, about everything. And whatever that point of view is, whether it's negative, whether it's fear, whether it's excited, that's going to color everything and all your actions and your approach to this. So once you get clear on that, you actually do have a point of view about this, you can start to take responsibility for that and see if it's working. So what some of the work that I've done in the past with leadership coaching and some of what I've gotten from you guys, I try to just call down to 3 basic things to focus on. And the first one is to be present. And what I mean by that is to first understand that whatever got you here is in the past. The loss, the pain, the journey, whatever it was, it is part of the past. And like I said, when I came in, I was very nervous and very angry and pretty bitter about that doctor and about myself for having listened to him. And I really had to let that go. And it wasn't until my husband said, okay, so this does not look like we thought it would look like. And that's okay. We're just on a different journey, but we found the guy. Like, we're here. I'm like, okay, so I can just let that go. And once I did, I literally physically felt myself exhale, and I was like, something's possible now. Because before I was like this, and really nothing was getting in. So that's one thing, letting go of the past, letting go of whatever decisions, it literally does not belong in my future. And the other thing is worrying about the future. It doesn't help you either. This is not a unique concept. I didn't invent this. I'm sure you've heard this before. But when you're worried about what's going to happen in the future, particularly a repeat, miscarriages, whatever, it's going to happen again, that's not being present either. Consider that worrying is a way of being right about something. Just think about your mom for a second. So when you're worrying, you're also not present. So you're going to have to kind of give up both. And it's really a struggle to be in the moment. But the good news is you get to practice that because you're going to need it when you're parents. Absolutely. Worrying about, are they going to be okay about this? That never goes away. So this is an opportunity to practice that. And also being present requires listening like you haven't listened before. So for example, as I'm talking now, you're agreeing or disagreeing with me. You're like, oh, I like her hair. What is she wearing? Did I leave the oven on? How long is this? Is it a little warm in here? What did she say again? I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying about what I'm saying. So when you're in this space, I think it would serve you well to just really try to listen without that point of view. Because I hear a lot of patients come in, they're like, Dr. Palter told me to do this, or maybe I could do this, or maybe do this. And then it's like, he was really clear, but the reason you're not hearing it is because your mind is like, you're hearing everything from the past and everything from the future. So really try to work on your listening and catch that little voice when it's talking while somebody else is specifically about this stuff. The second thing, in addition to being present, is acceptance. That's a tough one. That's a confronting one because we don't necessarily want to accept the way things are right now, but things are the way they are, and that's the way they are, and that's it. Everything else is a story. Everything else is that little voice in your head going, it should be this, it should be this. Why aren't I pregnant? Why isn't she this? She's going crazy on the hormones. He's not supporting. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It is what it is, and once you accept that, then you can move forward. Then something is possible. A way to, Dr. Walter's wife said, yes, when you hear that little voice, change the tape. Like if you're saying, I'm broken, something is wrong every day, all the time, you're going to find a way to be right about that. Trust me. So why don't you just practice listening to that little voice and telling it to, okay, KK said to shut up, so you're out. And the new one of, I'm doing something about this, and this is not forever. This is just temporary, and it's going to make me stronger. So I don't like the way it looks, and it's uncomfortable, and I don't like it, but picture a balloon. A balloon is always expanding, and that's how we grow. And it's never really comfortable, but that's it. So not to get too heavy, but that's part of the deal of acceptance. And also, I think what you resist persists. Has anybody ever noticed that? if I, for example, I did not realize when I was young, I made the decision as a kid, something happened on the school bus, and all of a sudden I decided that I was unattractive. So I went through my whole life thinking, I'm not attractive, he's too cute, I'm not going to go out with somebody, I don't deserve that, I don't deserve that. It wasn't until I realized that I made that decision that other things showed up. So I was resisting everything like really good for me until I was clear about that. Guess who I met? My husband. Guess where we landed? Here. Turns out I got out of my own way and it works out. And the last thing is, besides being present, acceptance is really build your team. And I know there's a lot of resistance to that too, especially if you don't want to share. But when it means the world when somebody's supporting you, even if it's just calling to see how you are. You don't have to necessarily talk about every single thing, but when they'll be there when you're high and they'll be there when you're low. So that's huge. And it's helpful to have people on your team who are not judging, who are not trying to fix you, who are just going to listen. And that's it. So those are my three things.
Thank you. Amazing. So let me add a couple of insights related to that. So we see a lot of people, this idea when you talk about the past and dwelling on it, we see a lot of people that they've been hurt so much that they're afraid to take the next step. So we have people who say, well, I can't do that treatment because what if it won't work? And so instead of taking it, like the fear of something not working stops them from taking that step. I said, well, if you don't do something, we know it's certainly not going to happen. So the first thing is, here we're really honest. We'll tell you what the odds are, but if that's not going to work, there is virtually always another path that will work. And part of it is figuring out which way to get there. But you have to get past the past. And for me, everything that hasn't worked is a clue and a tool to figure out how to make it work the next time. So none of that is wasted. None of that is bad. You went somewhere else and you tried 5 times, it worked great. Get me those records, we'll dissect it, and there's an answer in there. And so, we go out and find information from all kinds of fields that we try and bring back here. And so you made me think of 2 people that I've worked with. One is Dan Sullivan, who's a coach for entrepreneurs and business owners, taught about 6,000 people in every industry. And what he teaches is that, the past happened, and you can decide what you bring from the past into the future. It's not the past, and what has happened and how you feel does not dictate where you're going to be. You take that and you can transform it into the tools of success in the future. Each one of those can be a lesson. And then through him, I met some people that do meditation and spiritual things, and they had this whole idea of dwelling in the present. So you can't look to the future and anticipate what's going to fail, and you can't look to the past and say, that's going to be my future. You have to dwell really, like you said, be present in where you are. And so there's a great book, I think Carol Dweck wrote it, called Mindset, where they talked about 2 different and it was teaching kids. A lot of this was about education, but also about people in corporations. And they said there's 2 ways you can see the world. You can have what's called a fixed mindset, which means you're sort of born one way and that's it. You're smart or you're dumb, and you're going to be successful, you're not, and that's it. And the growth mindset says, well, instead of saying you failed the test, you don't know this, you can't do math, you say, great, now you see all the things that you weren't good at, and that's going to teach you what to focus on and how to grow. And so in a growth mindset, and they have a whole curriculum where they use this in colleges now to help people achieve success. And growth, the idea is that there isn't like a zero sum where you fail or you win. There's opportunities in the world. Everyone can win together, and if you focus on a goal and you work together, you can come out ahead. And so Dan taught us like 4 kinds of mindset of how you look at any situation. One can be, there's a failure and you're a victim. So this thing happened to me and it can never work, and I'm angry at the world. And I see that every single day, people come in like that. And that's fine, that's a normal reaction. But where do you go with it? So, if you're so angry that you can't do something next, you're going to live in that victim one. The next one is you're pissed off and frustrated. That's a good one. That's where you say, I'm really angry and I'm upset, but I want to do something, I don't know what to do. I'm going to get help and I'm going to get to the other side. So the difference is one person gives up and the other's taking action. The third one is you're kind of successful, but you're just going along. And then the last one is expansion and growth, where you say, I'm always going to look to what I can do better. And those are those sort of four mindsets. So with us, we kind of try to take people and say, look at where you were, and together we're going to make a plan, and it's going to have ups and downs, but there's going to be a path, and voice those frustrations, but always focus on moving ahead. So that's sort of my take on your mindset. For Debbie, I want to share a bit about the medical side of nutrition and fertility, what we know. So it's interesting. There's two extremes. There's the people who are too overweight and there's too thin, can both cause reproductive effects. And a lot of it is the too thin, we'd say, think of the cavemen. And if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, I had a talk with someone like this today. She was a 2-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week exerciser, zero body fat, control of everything, very healthy outwardly. But if you're a caveman and there's no food and you're starving and you're running from the saber-toothed tiger, your body's going to shut down and not try to reproduce. That fight or flight living is a huge stress on your body. At the other extreme, obesity is worse in America now than it's ever been. So the latest statistics were that it's like 40 to 50% of the population now is overweight. And what's changed and what's sort of universal between, that we know is that the heavier you are, your reproductive outcomes are lower. So for men, sperm function goes down. For women, outcomes of all treatments go down. And we can overcome it, but it's not going to be ideal. But then if you're pregnant, you have a higher risk of diabetes and complications in pregnancy. And then once you deliver, you can get sicker earlier in life. And so there's a million ways of eating out there, a million diets. There's the plant-based vegans and the ultra low calorie, and then there was Atkins high protein, and now there's ketogenic and paleo and carnivore. And so if you try and put them together, anything that gets you closer to your ideal body weight will actually be healthy. And anything that gets you to move will be healthier. And so we know the outcomes will be better as you get closer and closer to that. What's sort of the rage in nutrition now is a big backlash against what was done in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where people thought everything was, we switched to the food pyramid and then low fat. So what happened was they saw that people were having heart attacks and they had plaques in their arteries, and they said, well, everything's fat. And for a decade, it was don't eat fat and eat grains and snack all day long. And what happened was, since the 60s to today, people got heavier and heavier and heavier, and diabetes has skyrocketed. So what a lot of these diets share in common is trying to, as Debbie said, get rid of processed food. It's the processing that makes a lot of this really bad. So the more you can eat whatever version of the diet, if you're eating plants, vegetables, and meats that haven't been packaged, it's going to be healthier. Sugar really doesn't need to be in your diet and has really no nutritional value and directly leads to obesity and diabetes. So all of those diets don't focus on eating sugar. So the more you can cut that out, the better off you are. And a lot of the fats that people eat now are very artificial and aren't good either. And so we can get into these details with any of you separately about sort of how you get rid of those things. But what we've been doing is we've started working with people on sort of how to modify what they eat. And we have, a number of patients now who are diabetic that were told, like, you can never get better by their primary care doctors, that they're now off their insulin. They're not diabetic anymore. We have 2 guys, men, that we talked to them and said, like, we're worried about you not being alive for your kids. And they've both lost more than 50 pounds by changing how they eat. And there's some really simple things that are out there of where you start. So there's a lot of programs for this. I mean, I was getting more and more unhealthy, and I really got educated about this. And so in the last, 8 months, I've lost 40 pounds. My blood pressure went down 20 points. My blood sugar went down 20 points, and I'm healthier than I've been in like 20 years. And I work with a doctor who was coaching me on this who lost 150 pounds. So there's like a whole science to this now that we know, and if you can start by sort of move a little bit, eliminate sugar, and try to eat natural things, that's the first step that everyone can kind of do. A good sort of tidbits we can give you is if you're completely sedentary and you don't move at all, the common wisdom was that you have to do sort of 45 minutes on the treadmill 5 days a week. So the latest cardiovascular data that's out there says that actually really high intensity short is better. So if you don't move at all, and I've been there, if you try and say I got to go 45 minutes 7 days a week, that's almost impossible. So what you do is you want to do something really intense, as hard as you can, twice a day for a minute in the morning and a minute at night. So what that could be is jump squats, where you kind of jump up and then squat down, or jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups. Just something really simple like that for 60 seconds, as hard as you can till you can't do it anymore. Do that twice a day. The newest data for heart health and metabolism is that if you can get up to like 5 minutes twice a day, it's better than 45 minutes for your health. So if you say to someone, you got to do 45 minutes 7 days a week, that's impossible. Could you do a minute twice a day? Yeah, and you think that that's worthless, but actually for heart attack prevention and metabolism, that's hugely, all the data is now showing it's beneficial. On the diet side, the idea that you have to eat all day long is really wrong, and it makes it worse. So what we're realizing is that people eating carbs, it's really an addiction. It acts the same in your body as methamphetamine or benzodiazepines or alcohol. It lights up the same part of the body. You eat carbs, you eat them when you're stressed, then your blood sugar shoots up, then it drops, and then you eat them more, and you never get satiated. And then you're told you have to eat 3 meals a day and 3 snacks, so your blood sugar is going up and down and you feel like crap. So the sort of first principle that you can do is, if you eliminate the sugar as much as you can, try and eat meats and vegetables, not processed food, but eat 3 meals a day and eliminate the snacks. But when you eat until you're not hungry anymore. So you're either eating or not eating, and that works incredibly well to start helping your metabolism. And this is the basis of, now there's a whole trend with intermittent fasting, and there was a big article in the New England Journal of Medicine that trying to eat or not eat is very healthy as opposed to just grazing all day long. And with the ketogenic, carnivore, paleo, Atkins, all these diets are focused on getting rid of processed food, sugars, and carbs. And so if you say, well, can I do 60 seconds of exercise twice a day, cut out sugar, and eat 3 big meals and get rid of snacks, that, if you made those steps, that's an enormous health benefit that you would see a change. And that's what we had these people doing who've lost massive amounts of weight and gotten really healthy. And even if you don't lose weight, if you're not trying to lose weight, you can get really healthy. I mean, I know there's one person I see in the audience here who's been doing this and lost a huge amount of weight. So we see people now where they're hitting weight cutoffs where they can't get anesthesia for procedures. Like, it's that bad. And we've had a number of people, one of them is here, who was above the threshold, who did these changes, and is now below the threshold. And so you can do it. I mean, I've seen people, I've been there, worked with a doctor who was over 350 pounds and now looks like, a bodybuilder. So it's totally doable. And what we're interested in doing is, if you guys are interested, so we're going to take a survey. Debbie has offered we want to partner with her and offer this nutritional program. So what's so great about what she does is it just breaks that cycle and gets you started in a way where you get the support. I mean, I think if you could just say like a minute about the support side of, like, you're not just telling people what to eat.
No, I'm not sitting there lecturing you. It's a group. It's done in a group, and there's a reason for that. So it's almost like a round table. We're almost having a discussion. So we talk back and forth. The first week we're going to talk about what to take out of the pantry and get you ready, so it's not just cold turkey. That's really hard to just start like that. It gives you a little time to get used to the idea. The second week we're going to talk all about digestion, and the importance of it, and how these foods that you're eating and the foods that you're taking out are going to help your body be able to use it to make even just right down to the proper cell membranes, that the integrity is the way it should be, that you have the right fats. I know we were all fatophobic in the 80s and 90s, but there's a big difference between the McDonald's French fries and olive oil or avocados. Fat is good. Fat is not bad. It's the right type of fat. Then we'll do another week on blood sugar. And Dr. Poulter talked about the 3 meals and intermittent fasting. But you need to know a little bit about intermittent fasting. It's not a good thing to just say, okay, I'm just not going to eat today. Forget it. This is how I'm going to do. I'm not going to eat. So what's going to happen with that? If you are having a lot of carbs, then you tell your body, I'm not going to put in anything. And your body says, wait, I need the carbs because you're burning kindling. And you want to get yourself to burn a log. And the way you burn logs is by burning fat. So first you have to get your body ready in order for intermittent fasting to work. So we'll go through a little bit about that. And also that your body needs time to rest and digest. So 3 meals is good. If you're comfortable with 2, that's okay too. But you have to give yourself at least 12 hours for rest and digest. So you have your body's in a sympathetic mode and a parasympathetic mode. In that parasympathetic mode, you are repairing and making new cells, and that's at least 12 hours to let your body do that. Otherwise, you're causing a stress. And what does stress do? Stress with food is going to disrupt your digestive tract. It's going to open up the walls. It's going to let things go through. This is the start of leaky gut, things like that. And then the 3rd week, we'll go really heavily into fats to really explain what is all this stuff about DHA and EPA and trans fat. And somebody said olive oil was good, and then somebody said canola was good. But wait a minute, now I hear canola is bad. And what about what's the smoke point stuff? And so we'll really dissect that and make it really easy for you to understand. On week 1, you would take a questionnaire that only you look at. So there's no judgment here at any point.
And it's assumed that you're going to have ups and downs.
And you're going to have ups and downs.
And that's okay.
And it's going to teach you how to deal with it. If you're in a situation where, for whatever reason, you had a terrible day, or you had a great day and you were at a celebration and you had a piece of cake, well, you don't want to eat that piece of cake going, oh my God, this is so bad, I'm ruining everything. What did you get out of that piece of cake? You got nothing out of that piece of cake. So if you decided to eat it, enjoy every bite of it and start again the next day. It's not about beating yourself over the head. So you take this toxicity questionnaire, and I'll keep it for you, but I won't look at it. It's yours. And then I'm going to give it back to you, plus another one on week 5, and you will be amazed at the difference in your score.
Yeah, so what we're trying to figure out is we'll ask you guys your opinion. So now you got sort of the overview of things you can do to take steps, and we're going to try and see whether we can offer this program here with Debbie just for anyone that wants it in the office, because I think it's so important that people are so confused about what to eat. And something like this, what I love about the way you do it is it's just so doable. It's not like this 0 to 1,000. It's like steps that anyone can take. So I think that's really, really important. And related to what you're saying, like if you eat the piece of cake, the doctor I was working with said to me, it's like you eat the pizza and the ice cream. Okay, that's not the bad thing. It's what you do the next day. Because it's like, New Year's Eve, you have your resolution, and then New Year's Day, you're really good. And then by the 7th, the gym is empty because everyone went there for 1 week. So it's really like whatever you're doing with your treatment or your health, it's not what you do when you fall off or think you did it the wrong way. It's what you do the next day, because one day then becomes, okay, well, it's Friday and I screwed up on Thursday, so I'll just do it on Saturday and Sunday. And then that becomes, well, it's just till the end of the month. And then it's like, well, I couldn't do this anyway, so I give up. So it's expected that whatever you do is going to have ups and downs. but it's what you do afterwards that really leads to the success. And it's the same way with the treatments. Like, we see people who do fertility treatments and maybe something isn't going to work, but it's whether they give up or try again that is often the difference between failure and success. But it's hard. I mean, and it hurts when you do something and it doesn't work. How do you get back on that horse? And that's where having support, and there are people, some of the people who were coming to these groups last time were exchanging phone numbers. It's like, the bigger your network, and you talk about your support team, keep going and not give up, and you can lead to success. I mean, there's people in the audience I see here who have been on a long road and led to success, and it can be there for you, even though it sometimes seems inapproachable. So what we're going to do is we'll get up and stretch a little. We have time. We're going to do an exercise, but first we can take 5 minutes. And do you guys have any questions just about about health and nutrition in general, about mindset, or anything that Debbie, KK, or I was saying? Feel free to ask. Or if you're experts on these things, some of you are really fit and healthy. Some of you, when I was talking about the exercise, were nodding. So if you have any insight from your own personal experience you want to share with the group, go right ahead.
So I have a question about, do you believe in fertility foods? Like, there's a list, pineapple, eat a lot of eggs. Do you believe that?
Yeah, no, it's really not. It would be great. Like I said, if there was an ingredient in pineapple cores, an enzyme that helped you get pregnant, oh my God, that thing would be patented. It would be a drug, and they'd be selling it for $10,000. So all those things that have been tried, we've tested them, and there's just no evidence that it helps. So if you like pineapples, eat a pineapple. If you like eggs, they're healthy, that's fine. But there's no one food that will make you fertile or make you not.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you see articles like that, and then somebody says, "I tried it and it really worked," you might think about what actually happened was, by eating whole fresh foods like that, you pushed out the bad, because you didn't have enough room left for it, because you ate all the good stuff. So you pushed out the sugar and the processed food. And did that help with the fertility? It might have.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like, sometimes people get obsessed because they read an article or there's someone selling the supplement made from something that's the key to it. And so it's not that simple.
It's funny with the pineapple, because when I was going through the process, my mom kept saying, I know somebody went through fertility, and she kept saying, eat pineapple, eat pineapple. I'm like, all right, slow down. I'm not going to eat the pineapple like you're telling me. But she kept insisting, so I think that was pretty good that you brought that up, because I was like, that's true, and I didn't eat it. But it still worked, and I didn't eat it, so I guess.
My great-grandma was told beer and steak. A beer and a steak every night. While she was pregnant, though. That was a long time ago.
Okay. So then
What about running when you're pregnant?
Yeah, so exercise while you're pregnant is actually, so when you're trying, exercise is good. When you're doing the treatment, anything that's going to enlarge your ovaries. So if you're taking injections, we don't want you doing high impact stuff, because it rattles the ovary and they can twist. But non-impact exercise is great. Through pregnancy, people can exercise a lot. We try and keep it to sort of 80% of your maximal heart rate, but people who exercise through pregnancy have lower rates of C-section, lower rates of diabetes, lower rates of high blood pressure, and are healthier. So as long as you're not having complications, you can exercise through pregnancy.
And running?
Not to an extreme intensity, but you can still run and exercise, and people do that. So if you find that you're having premature labor or contractions, and when you get near the end and you're really big and there's a mess, you have to limit it. But it's exercise is not bad, as a lot of people are fearful to do so. Yeah.
In terms of mindset, what about people that may have required medication for anxiety or depression, prior to this experience?
Yeah, so I had a long talk with someone about that today. A patient came in who was afraid to try because she'd had those issues. So one thing we do is we try to get people to the lowest dose of medication they need. So if you can't get through the day and you're going to be dangerous or not able to function, there are medications that can be safely used. There are some that are no risk and some that are extraordinarily low risk. So if you need an anti-anxiety or antidepressant to really make it through the day, there are ones that have a safety profile that can be used even through pregnancy. None of them really have been shown to adversely affect getting pregnant. It's just once you are pregnant. So what we try to do is work with people to wean it down to the lowest dose, but then if you can add support systems, exercise, meditation, you can often get those things lower or sometimes do without them. But you never want to stop anything cold turkey because then you can rebound. And if you really need it, you don't want to have a crisis in pregnancy and not be on them. Yeah.
What is your thoughts on detox?
In what way? From
Herbal detox.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you meant detox from opiates or alcohol. We have a patient who's doing that. I mean, we have a patient who's in opiate detox now, who's working on getting pregnant. So anything you can imagine, we've seen. So the thing with the herbal detoxes is a lot of them are just sort of purge you, like they cause diarrhea, they kind of clean out the intestines, but they can cause a lot of dehydration and they can cause electrolyte and mineral abnormalities. So we wouldn't want a woman who's trying to get pregnant, who's in fertility treatment, doing those. In terms of men who do them, the health benefit of these things, some people do them and they feel really good. You'll often feel less bloated and slimmer because you've just had massive diarrhea and you're dehydrated. So if you dehydrate yourself enough, you'll feel that way. But most of the medical studies that have been done on the detoxes have shown that they're probably not very good for you, for your health.
Oh, that's it. Okay. You need to think about why you're detoxing. Are you detoxing because of a one-time event, or are you?
No, it's not for me.
Okay, no.
In general. You in general.
The thing about saying I'm going to do an herbal detox is, how did you get to that point in the first place that you needed that?
Because they've heard others who have had benefits of doing herbal detox. So it's like, well, so-and-so has tried this, why not you try this herbal?
But it's like a quick fix. It's okay. It's okay. But why did you need it in the first place? You needed it probably because your digestion was off. So how are we going to fix that? How are we going to fix your blood sugar, your digestion? You're going to fix it by the foods that you put in. So yes, you can do a detox, but it's like a linear event, and your life is not like that.
Right, and a lot of times the way people feel better, it's just sort of, it's having that immediate effect temporarily. All right, so any other questions, any comments that you guys have? So thank you guys for your attention. We hope if you take even any of these things, all of them will be healthy. And if you're here, as we go through, if you want to get more involved, we have people we partner with for nutrition, health, weight loss. If you want to do an intensive program and you need to lose 100 pounds, there's people we can refer you to for that. If you just want to exercise, we can help you, get in that route also. So we're going to do a little bit of a mindset exercise now. First, we'll get up and stretch and get some more snacks. We don't have cookies and cake tonight. We have the healthy food this time. And so, KK, why don't you tell us a little bit? We're going to take like 15 minutes and do our exercise. It's a mindset exercise that really we want to teach you to break the cycle of negative thoughts, and that's for whatever you do. Because when you're going through treatment, we tell you, expect that there's going to be ups and downs. So the two things like people do is, if something bad, what they think is bad, happens, well, first of all, it's not always bad. You just may not like the number that's on the screen or in the portal, but don't read into it. But your mind's going to go crazy sometimes, and people get into this catastrophic mindset where everything's over. Pure negativity. And then they are either miserable or they stop. So we're going to do an exercise to help you learn to, when you have that thought, what's a negative stopping thought and what's a enabling positive thought. So you want to tell them sort of what they're going to do?
Okay, so I'm just going to get this right here. So also, I just, for my alumni moms and dads, just raise your hand. Do you have anything? Okay, awesome. So I just really want to thank you guys for being here today. I know you have kids at home and babysitters and everything, so thank you. And to everybody else here, I called 85 people, and you guys are lucky for that, because they're not for that, because they're not planning to be here in the first place, let alone tonight. So here's our exercise.
And after we finish the exercise, we're going to take like 15 minutes. Right at the end, feel free to ask each other, share insights, and if you want to ask someone who's got a pink thing, or any of the three of us, if you've got questions about what it's like to go through certain things, feel free to ask. So KK, yeah, tell us about our thought bubbles.
Okay, so in a minute we'll get up, we'll stretch, and then you'll sit down with maybe like 4 or 5 people in a group. Try to grab an alumni if you can in your group. But on the left side, remember when I was talking about that tape running in your head? On the left side is a story that you have about your fertility journey, about your health and nutrition, and if you're an alumni, about, let's just say, your parenting, if you want to make it more applicable. So this is the point of view that you have. For example, the sentences I have in my head is, I'm doing it wrong. Whatever it is, I'm doing it wrong. So that's the thing I have to fight. Over here, I want you to write 2 different possible interpretations of that. So instead of telling yourself, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm broken, or I'm a failure, or I'm terrible, or I'm never going to get this, or this is never going to work for me, I'm going to end up a die alone, whatever, I'm a failure, which I hear every day, put 2 empowering things, and that's going to be your focus. So the first one, maybe write something about health and nutrition, and the second 2 about your fertility journey, okay? So then we'll break into groups, take a break, we'll get into groups, everybody will do their own, and then we'll share in the group one of those. And then at the end, we'll come back together and each group will tell one of them that made a difference.
Right, so each one of you is going to do 3 negatives, and then for each negative, 2 that could be a positive way to see it. And then you'll share with your group sort of 1 negative and 1 positive, and then the group, you nominate someone who wants to share publicly and say, this was one that we thought was really insightful. And then we'll kind of talk around the room about what do you do when you have that negative thought and how do you get it to be positive.